player. But look, I want to go back on what Rick was saying about the Man United game, and if we think Spurs can go all the way. You're looking at the draw. It's Tottenham, Man United, which is obviously the tie of the round. Arsenal, Palace, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Liverpool.
Rigged.
I mean, it's a tough tie for Arsenal, I think, because Palace are like turning the corner a bit now, and Arsenal are not going to play their first choice. And I think Palace will probably go full strength in that game. So I think that's a potential banana skin. Newcastle, Brentford, I think on any given day, anyone can win that tie.
St. James's.
At St. James's, they're obviously going to be favourites. Liverpool, Southampton, that's probably the easiest tie of the round. But Spurs, Man United, what are we thinking, guys? Macca, you think at home? I said just any tie at home. I don't care who we get. Just give us a home tie.
Yeah, same. Look, at the end of the day, League Cup, Carabao Cup, Milk Cup, fucking Rumbelows Cup, whatever you want to call it, right? The reality of the situation is this is the first time since 2009 that there's been 8 Premier League teams left in the quarterfinals.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, and also you need to know you need to also know that the Premier League is tough. It's the hardest league in the world. So
we got to the final that year as well, didn't we?
Was that? Yeah,
we got to the final that year.
Ironically, 0-0 against Man United, and we lost on penalties.
That was that Ben Foster final. That
couldn't have been that because we played Burnley. Oh, were Burnley in the Premier League then? Maybe they were because we played Burnley in the semis that year.
Yeah, with Pavlyuchenko. Yeah,
Pav, go on, Pav, super Pav. So yeah, I mean, it is going to be tough, but like I agree with Ricky, I agree with you, Ben. Any home tie, that's what you want in the cups. We were so unlucky last time. Last year we got Fulham or whatever. We're not picking up any points, on our season tickets. So I'm going to these games. There's no Europe. I'm getting no points on my season tickets to get away games. Now I'm getting all these home draws. I'm getting points every time I go. I'm getting 4 points for Europa, 5 points for these games. That's great stuff, right?
Clocking them up, Macca. Clocking them up.
Clocking them up, man. I'm going
I think he called it like Macca here in the stadium. Macca be on South down to himself or Elsport.
That's it. Yeah. Obviously, if I don't clock the points up, it's okay because I'm on the payroll with Levy. So
you'll be all right.
Yeah, but no, I think a home draw is what you can answer for. I mean, I think there's a couple of things with Man United. It's an interesting one. I mean, they played brilliantly yesterday. Paul accounts scored loads of goals. They absolutely ruined Leicester.
Leicester B team, mate. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Leicester B team. But I think there's Ruud van Nistelrooy still got 3 games, I think, in charge before Amram comes, if he even does.
He will.
Which I'm sure he will, but and he'll be the new manager bounce or whatever. But we're on a home turf. We've already turned them over 3-0, and there's nothing to be worried or scared about. I don't think with United yet. I'm sure I like that Amram. I think he's going to be a good manager for them, but doesn't mean to say that they rock up and beat us. But it's cup football, so we don't know where we're going to be, how it's sandwiched between. I think it's on the 17th of December, is it? So 3 days or 4 days later, we've got Liverpool at home.
In
the league. So this is the thing. I think it's very difficult to prioritise stuff. But as fans, you want to look at that and go, well, actually, if we turn Man United over in the Carabao Cup and it meant that we couldn't get over the line against Liverpool in the league, and then we're still sitting there 9th, but we're now in the semi-final. I mean, it doesn't have to be one or the other, but if that is the case, would we be happy? Like, are you happier today knowing that we're in the next round of the Carabao Cup and just beat City rather than getting 3 points against Palace? Now, I know we want both, but actually, we're probably, if we're honest, the whole season's still ahead of us, right? You can claw them points back to get your top 3 finish that I predicted or top 5 finish or whatever. But once you're out of the cup, you're out, right? So actually, that where it becomes thing. I think our home draw against any of them is, that's great. I mean, away at Anfield would have been a nightmare. Away at Newcastle, they've been ruining us, and away at Old Trafford, you might go, okay, that's fair enough. Away at Arsenal would have been an absolute shit show. So
any away game then?
Isn't the semi-final 2 legs still? It's the semi-final.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So actually, we've got probably the best start. I mean, if we'd have got Southampton at home and not gone through, then what? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Southampton away. I mean, I've got the result.
We're definitely going to win, and we we lost in the semi-final them years ago. So yeah, I'm really happy with the bench. So I agree with both you and Mickey. I think home draw is the way forward.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Tim? We're going all the way?
Why not? We've got no one to fit. We just beat Man City, so why should we fear anyone at the moment? Especially if we can beat Man United, then as Macca says, it's 2 legs. We're guaranteed another home tie, regardless of what happens if we beat Man United. A final's always obviously it's a one-off game. I mean, imagine the prospect of playing someone like Arsenal in a final.
Would you prefer to get them over 2 legs or in a one-off in a final?
Well, Arsenal,
2 legs.
I think 2 legs.
2 legs.
Get into our stadium and get them over 2 legs. I'd love that for sure. I think the nerves of a final would be too much for me. I don't know if I can handle that.
Can you imagine that? A final against Arsenal? That would be the worst thing ever.
The way I thought it was Arsenal,
we're getting ahead of ourselves, obviously. But, do you know what I love? Man United, just quick. Man United, right, at home, obviously, we beat them. And then in the semi-final, we get Arsenal home and away. Obviously the legs. So I think we're a match for most teams, if not all teams, in a 2-legged tie. So I think we get Arsenal, and then in the final we get Liverpool, right, to right the wrong of the Champions League final. That would be perfect.
And then you get a handball given against them in the first minute.
And then we finish, after all those clubs we've beaten, then we finished 12th in the league.
I'm sorry, Macca. I love the idea of it, but to say a Carabao Cup is going to be righting the wrongs of a Champions League final? Come on, man. Come on now.
You might not get back to the Champions League final for at least 2 seasons. I'm going 2 seasons, lads.
When you think about it, if we actually, like I say, on this journey that Macca's talking about, we've done Man City, we do Arsenal over a semi-final, and then and Man United in the quarterfinals, and then we beat Liverpool in a final, and then we finish mid-table. I mean, that would be so Spurs that you've beaten all those teams, and yet from a league perspective, we don't do the job. I mean, that's the thing I'm really intrigued about with certain fans. I think with the older generation, which probably I fall myself into now, that category, I think I'm so desperate to see a cup, boys, that I would quite happily sacrifice league position because I just want to win something. I just want us all to be together at Wembley on that day. Can you just imagine that feeling, us all together, seeing our club finally win something? It's taken so long to get this trophy stigma off our back. I mean, that's what I would personally sacrifice. Not everybody's.
How low do you go, Rick? How low do you go?
Here you go. But the younger generation, with no disrespect, the younger generation want to be in the Champions League, hear the Champions League music, but I just think we've come to a point with Tottenham, with no disrespect, and I don't want the show to be on a downer. I think we know publicly Spurs are crying out for investment. They're telling us we need investment, right? So the reality is that I don't think we're going to see a massive difference in terms of real enhancement in the first team until there's a change in terms of the investment coming into the football club. So that's why, in my opinion and my feeling, I want to see Spurs go all out for the cup competitions, because I just don't feel we're quite there yet in a league perspective. We're still learning under Ange. It's a very, very young squad. And you boys heard it all those years ago from ex-players, you know, before the Champions League final. Winning breeds winning. And they all said it. When you get that first trophy over the line, it gives you the confidence you can do it again and again and again. And because it's taken so long, this club has not got any sense of a winning culture inside of it, that we need to get that back inside the club. So players actually feel when they're signing for Tottenham, we can win here. And that is what is severely lacking. And that's why, for me, I want to see us really take the cup competition seriously. Doing really well in the League Cup. Don't let that, diminish what the FA Cup will be when it comes around. And like I say, we've made a really strong start to the Europa League. So just my personal opinion, everybody's got their own out there in terms of their preference over cup and league position. I really want to see Spurs approach this season with a real focus and integrity on the cups, which is why I was so happy last night, by the way, Ange took the competition so seriously. Because as soon as that lineup come up, boys, we all knew we're serious about this. We're not messing around.
100%. Yeah, I don't think anyone could complain about his team selection yesterday. I think he picked a really strong side. If I'm just giving a bit of context to the quarterfinal against United and the fixtures surrounding that date. So the weekend before the quarterfinal, we play Southampton away, and Man United are away to Man City in the Manchester Derby. Then we got obviously the quarterfinal, and then the weekend after that, we are at home to Liverpool, and Man United are at home to Bournemouth. So some interesting fixtures surrounding that game. I wonder, if obviously United playing Man City that's going to be a very taxing game for them potentially. Do they come into the Spurs game with some injuries, or maybe do they have to rest players after that game? It's going to be interesting.
I think they'll definitely coming into it with a bit of fatigue, because that Man City game is going to take a lot out of them. So I'd rather have the harder game afterwards than before, to be honest, because Look, away to Liverpool. Is it away or at home to Liverpool?
Well, home.
Either way, I mean, we rarely get a result off Liverpool year in, year out. I know we just about got over the line last year, but we were very lucky to do so in that game. The offside goal and everything that should have been given. But if you could ask me right now, would I take the win over Man United or Liverpool? I'd take the win over Man United 10 times out of 10. So I'd rather have that easier game before so we can get... I wouldn't say rest because there's never a rest in a 90-minute period in the Premier League, but it's going to take more out of you playing Man City away than it will Southampton away.
But what's interesting about that, and it's brilliant context, and actually just coming back on the point that Rich just made, I think Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur are different to Manchester United in the sense of, winning things, winning mentality, winning culture. I mean, Manchester United have just shown their cards. They've just literally said, winning a trophy don't mean shit to us. We want the big ones, right? That's what they've literally just said because they've just sacked Ten Hag. He's just won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons. So when you look at that and you think, well, hang on, how serious are they going to take the Carabao Cup? Because they're not bothered about it. Because if they were, then they would have a different outcome with Ten Hag. Because the problem with Ten Hag is they haven't got an identity of football. And they're rubbish in the league, and that's what's driving them. They want to be up that league table. So, when you take that context into the scenario of they're playing Man City, they don't want to get ruined by Man City in the league. Then they're coming to that game against Spurs in the Carabao Cup where we really want it, and they're not that fussed. You can see with the City fans last night when they're singing "Free From Desire" at the end with us. They've just lost it. They ain't bothered. Right? We said this in the concourse. We were like, "Come on, good." They're not that bothered, are they? They're not bothered about a League Cup. They've got enough of them. And I suppose my point being is that sometimes in football, with all the analysis, with all the data, I love it all, but sometimes in football it comes down to, do you really want it? Like, do you really want it? And I just wanted to bring up, I don't know we'll go off too much off piece, Ben, so forgive me, but I just wanted to bring up Decky's comments because I think Decky's been... I think he's been our player of the season so far. It was absolutely majestic yesterday. Another 2 assists, absolutely brilliant. But one of the things, and again, I don't want to be controversial. You know what I'm like. I'm always Mr. Optimistic. But I've got a slight concern with some of the comments that Becky made post-match yesterday. So, and I'm totally paraphrasing, but he was interviewed in what they call the bullpen or whatever, wasn't he, by various different journalists. And he was asked about, what does it mean to you to win? And he said, everybody that knows me closely, they know it's personal when I play City. Okay, why? Like, as an example, like I'm a fan. I'm thinking, why is that? He actually said something. I'm paraphrasing. He said something along those lines. I've been planning this for weeks. I knew that I would have a really good game, and I thought that was quite strange to say that. I'm thinking, what? So you weren't planning for Palace? Like, you thought you weren't going to have a good game against Palace? Now, he did go later on in his interview by talking about every game as it comes, we've got to prepare the same way and so on and so forth. But that seemed to me like that's just footballers talking interviews. But what was authentic was I really wanted to give it extra for this particular game. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you give it extra for every single game? You see what I mean? I don't want to pick up something that isn't there. It's just how maybe I've interpreted it.
Well, he said it was personal for him, didn't he? That game. Yeah, he said this game's personal.
Exactly that. Why? What's gone on? Like, has he been? I mean, I don't know anything about it. Maybe I'm like not with the program. But did City try and sign him or didn't sign him? As Pep said he weren't good enough, and now I think he's played 7 times against City. He scored 3 goals, and now he's got 4 assists. I mean, his record is, like I put it out there, is decade destroyer for City. I mean, he's been sublime for them. So, and he has scored a lot of goals. And I think that when Kane had that masterclass, didn't he? He kind of stepped it up. Now, I'm not having to go at players for stepping it up. I suppose where I'm coming from, where Angie's been coming from as well. So, hang on, why are you stepping up for certain games? This is what Angie's trying to say. It's like, why are you going to give it an extra 10% because it's Arsenal? Why aren't you giving an extra 10% because we're playing Palace away? Does that make sense? So I think he's been sensational, and I really like him. Do you know what I really like?
I think you're probably watching the same interview that I watched. It was the one when he's in the tunnel, he's talking to a reporter. I think
he's in the pen, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And what was interesting is what he said about because he was asked about the Palace game in that, and he was saying that about the Palace game. you know, sometimes in these games we have to do things differently, and I want to talk to the players about that. And he said, and he got asked a follow up. Oh, so have you spoken, you know, to the players about that game and what you want to do differently? He goes, not yet, because we're fully focused on this game. But he's like, when I get a chance, I'm definitely going to have my say about that game. So that was quite interesting. I thought he said, like, he was bringing up like he's you know, hopefully they can have a clear the air really about that game, and they can really sort out those issues.
Can I say one thing, though, boys? I mean, after the game, Pep was actually asked about Kulusevski. And I think it was Tom Barkley that asked him about him. He said, you know, Decky always seems to be a bit of thorn in your side. What would you say in comparison to Kevin De Bruyne? And he was very quick to shut that down. Pep was like, no, there's only one Kevin De Bruyne. You know, just to be very, very clear. As much as I think he admires Decky as a footballer, he had none of it in terms of analogy comparing Decky's current form, may I just add, with Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not suggesting that he is in the like for like, but in terms of current form, he asked him, "Is he like De Bruyne?" He went, "No, absolutely not." Kevin does special.
But he also was asked, "What do you like about Kulusevski?" He said everything.
Yes, he did say that. Yeah, but
and let's be real, Rick. Even Kulusevski at his best form can't touch Kevin De Bruyne's best form. So we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne here.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Pep said that before, isn't it, about Kulusevski? To be fair, when he first started,
Kulusevski, wow.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Decky's talking about. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys are aware of why it should be personal. If they tried to sign him in the past and didn't sign him, or something.
I don't know if he's in. I don't know if he's saying like. I don't know if he's trying to say I just love playing against the top teams kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that's what he's trying to get. Not Man City itself, but obviously Man City are a top team, but I don't know if he's trying to say like I want to prove myself against the best teams. I just love playing against them. But I don't know if he's trying to say I take it more seriously, or he's just trying to say that you know I really like those games because that's where I really test myself.
That's what worried me. That's what worried me.
I understand. It was a bit strange.
Palace, you know what I mean? Like you get up against. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's a bit unfair, on Decky because. I know he said what he said, but when you're looking at his form throughout the whole course of the season, apart from that Crystal Palace game, he's been bang at it every single game and had great motivation in every single game, been our best player in the majority of games. So, I mean, it's hard to put a motivation issue across to him when he's had one poor game across the whole of the season so far.
Yeah.